organizations that are crying and screaming for freedom. So appropriately on that note, the last story of the day is once again about Alex Jones from InfoWars. Like I always say, love Alex Jones or hate Alex Jones, I think he deserves a platform somewhere. Yes, Facebook, Twitter, all these companies are private companies, but recently they accused him, and I saw a Young Turks episode about them, accusing Alex Jones of inciting violence. Now he's banned from Twitter for a week, according to their reports. So now you have Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Spotify, Apple, and now they're coming for his radio networks, and his website literally got attacked. Somebody's saying that Alex Jones, they're saying Alex Jones is a setup, he's a psyop. I don't know, some people think that, you're free to think that. I don't personally believe that, but you're allowed to. I'm not going to hate on your perspective. I don't think he is. I just think he's a little wild. He's a little laced up and ready to go all the time, maybe too much so for a lot of these social media tastes. But they're banning him for inciting violence. And I listened to the clips. You can listen to them yourself. It's a very fine line in my personal perspective, and I want to hear what you say. I want to hear your thoughts. How is what he said inciting violence? So he's saying the media is coming for you. They're basically like coming for you to be ready. Those were like roughly his words, which, I think that's a weird way to put it, but ideologically, I just don't know if I disagree, to be honest. It's like what they're doing, like Trump calls them the enemy of the people. Alex Jones says that they're coming for you. I don't know. I don't know that I even really disagree with that. I don't know about the way that he says it. I'm not sure if I definitely wouldn't say it the way he said it, because he's Alex Jones, I'm Anomaly. We're totally different people with a different delivery and a different, message a lot of times. But, I guess he doesn't have the freedom to say that. So he then also, I guess what they tied it to was Alex Jones said, you better have your rifles ready by your bedside. So this is a rough quote. I didn't write it down. So they tied that together and said, the press is coming for you. They're coming for you. And then it was a different clip where he said, you better have your rifles ready by your bedside, which to me, I don't think it's the smartest thing to say, especially now, I'm going to be honest. But to me, that sounds more like self-protection more than anything. If you own a gun, I think a lot of people keep a gun by their bedside. I'm not saying if you don't have to, but some people keep a bat by their bedside. Some people, keep a weapon or just like to protect their house or something. I don't know that that's that unusual. It's like, so they tied that together and said that he's inciting violence, even though I don't think that he did. Although I do think that tying those things together, it's like a very blurred area. So I want to know what you think, but here's what bothers me with their attacks on Alex Jones and attacks on freedom of speech. And like I say, I'm not co-signing anything that he's saying, because I co-sign what I say. If I said it, I'm responsible for it. As far as other people, I'm not responsible for what they say. If I wanted to do that, I'd speak and act like them, which I don't. But the press, they use political correctness and liberalism as a shield. They say, we're so great. We love Latinos. We love black people. We love ethnicities of all kinds. We love immigrants. Yet the media and the press's policies, the same one that act like they're better than Alex Jones and they act like they're so perfect and they would never hurt a soul, their policies, their press, their push led the United States into the Middle East. Their press, their push, their articles, literally, quite literally, their articles pushed the United States to do things like overturn Libya. I could find Vice articles and Vice acts like they're, we stand against white supremacists. We are Vice. We are such good white liberals. We're the best. We're so nice. They literally, I could find you the article now if I wanted to. They celebrated the death of Gaddafi like, ha ha ha, we got him. Like they celebrated it. And that killing of Gaddafi led to slavery in Libya amongst African men. You have extremists in Libya because of the power vacuum, enslaving human beings in the 21st century. So you're celebrating and calling for the overturn of a country where slavery now exists because of basically what you promoted and supported. Is that not inciting violence? But Alex Jones saying, protect yourself, have something by your bed, that's inciting violence? And Alex Jones saying that the press is, basically working against you, which it's hard for me to really say that they're not. I don't know. Do I think the press is the friend of the people? I mean, I don't think so. I don't know about that. Are they the enemy of the people? That's what Trump says. Do I disagree with that? Not really, no, because when you look at the policies that they've pushed, they have real life consequences. And this is why George Carlin talked about political correctness being fascism in disguise. That's why, legends of all kinds, like even Noam Chomsky, left-leaning socialist anarchist, whatever he considers himself, said that the purpose of freedom of speech is not to give it to people who agree with you. The purpose of freedom of speech is to give it to people who don't agree with you. Even the most profound, twisted people on the planet should have freedom of speech. I mean, that's what Noam Chomsky says. I don't know if I disagree with it, because it's a fine line. It's not that I want terrible people to say terrible things, but if you start cracking down on the crazies, what is considered crazy? So Alex Jones is inciting violence for saying something that I don't even know that it really was inciting violence, and now he's banned and blocked from everything. And then you have press organizations who have disguised their political agenda in liberalism and equality and LGBT and overturned Libya and turned it way worse than it already was. People like Vice who pretend to be liberal, or they're super left-leaning or whatever, celebrated the death of Gaddafi, which led to extremists enslaving human beings. But that's not, according to them, that's not inciting violence. Calling to go to Iraq, even though, the 9/11 towers were from, terrorist groups who were, basically based, or I guess like how many of the, hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, a majority of them. I'm not saying to go to Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is then we went to Iraq because, the news organizations told us we should. And then we went to Syria and, all these other countries. So, because of Libya and because of Syria, because of policies that these news organizations supported, because of policies that these news organizations pushed, because of politicians that these news organizations PR teamed for and pushed to get into power, we have the modern day refugee crisis. It's because, of course, there's extremism that's to blame for it, for sure. I'm not blaming the United States or blaming the UK completely, but what the United States and the UK and France and other countries did was went to these countries like Libya and Syria and further destabilized it. They said, hey, we get that there's ISIS, we get that there's Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra and all these terrorist organizations trying to overthrow the government, but we're going to come in and fight the terrorist organizations, and we're going to try to fight the leaders of Syria and the leaders of Libya. And what happens when you try to overthrow the leader of Syria and Libya? Well, historically, we found out that it leads to complete chaos, because who would have thought if there's no leader to control the area, no matter how crazy or bad they may be, then the strongest, as Democratic Congresswoman of Hawaii, Tulsi Gabbard would tell you, she said it on CNN multiple times, then the strongest force on the ground takes over. It's not like democracy just spreads out of thin air when you kill the leader of a country and there's terrorist groups all over. The strongest force on the ground takes over. And in many of these countries, it was Al-Qaeda or ISIS. So the United States and the press, here where I'm going with this, I know it's a long loop. These press organizations that are so mad at Alex Jones for inciting violence when it's very questionable that he even did, their policies that they supported and pushed for led to the destabilization of the Middle East and led to the massive refugee crisis, which has since tanked Sweden, Germany, the UK. These stories they don't want to talk about because they created it, and they're so not racist that they don't want to tell you that celebrities are fleeing the UK because it's not safe anymore. They don't want to tell you that there's hundreds of acid attacks a year now, and that, terrorism's on the rise, and even though they have gun control, gun violence is on the rise. And even though they have knife control, knife violence is on the rise. And even though they love women so much, rape is not going down by any means. So it's like, that's not inciting violence. It's inciting violence for Alex Jones to say, keep a firearm by your bedside, which I'm not saying that you should say that. Like, just to be clear, I'm just having a conversation. I'm not saying it's a smart idea to say, the press is coming for you, the press is coming for you, keep a firearm by your bed. It's not a good idea. I'm not saying it's a great idea, but is that inciting violence more than using liberalism as a shield to overthrow the leaders of Libya and Syria? create a refugee crisis that not only tanked Syria and Libya and literally led to the enslavement of women and children and men and led to the destabilization of Sweden and the UK. Millions of lives lost, millions of lives affected, millions of lives ruined, multiple countries destroyed forever, or at least set back 30, 40, 50 years. That's not inciting violence. This is why liberalism and political correctness is not really the solution, because it's all about beautiful words. Alex Jones's words are so mean. My words are so nice, but they hide the horrific actions behind these beautiful words. So who do I like better? Alex Jones and Donald Trump, or people who do the most horrific things, have horrific policies and horrific foreign policy, and hide it behind the LGBT community and black and Muslim people, even though they might be the number one cause of like Muslim destabilization in recent history. So this is my conversation with free speech, with internet freedom, with Alex Jones and the press, who is just determined to take Alex Jones down and determined to say that Alex Jones is inciting violence. As Bob Marley once said, don't point your fingers unless your hands are completely clean. And don't accuse others of doing what you're doing. So I don't understand, just on a personal level, how Alex Jones's words are inciting violence when the core of what he's saying, albeit it might be way too gung-ho, and to be honest, he does probably need to tone it down a little bit, and everybody should tone it down a little bit. Maxine Waters should tone it down a little bit. Alex Jones should probably tone it down a little bit. Republicans and Democrats alike should calm down and have a discussion. I'm all for that. But how is Alex Jones getting censored? But the people who literally created the destabilization of the Middle East, that's not inciting violence. And that's my problem with following words over actions. That's why I like Donald Trump, because his words are blunt and crazy, but his actions are actually pretty on point. So it's like, I'm tired, and hundreds of millions of people are, of these politicians who have the beautiful words. I mean, I get it. Like, you look at Trump's tweet and you look at Obama's tweet on Aretha Franklin. Obama's a way better craftsman of words. He just is. I mean, what he wrote about Aretha Franklin was beautiful and cunning in many ways. What Trump wrote was like, she's dead. It's like he's I'm not gonna lie, he's not the most beautiful wordsmith. I think everybody knows that. But on a systemic level, I'm not there for the words, I'm there for the actions. I don't care if somebody speaks beautiful and then starts 7 wars and destabilizes the Middle East. I don't care if somebody says stuff that's blunt or rude or maybe uncalled for, but then actually tries to create peace in the Middle East and tries to create peace with North Korea and tries to make it so Syria is not getting overtaken by terrorist organizations. And no matter how much, progressive socialists and Democrats don't want to give Trump credit for that, he did it. So it doesn't matter what you think or what you say or how much you lie about it. Trump is one of the main reasons that Syria is now back to normality in some form. He overturned $1 billion program of funding rebels. Of course you don't think that had an effect? You're out of your mind. So overall, I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's created peace, because guess what? Just going to be honest, I know progressives don't want to hear this and left-leaning anti-war people don't want to hear this, but you're not going to solve all the world's ills in 2 years. I know you think that religious problems are going to go away and the religious battles that have been happening for thousands of years, and it's black and white when it comes to Saudi Arabia and Iran and Syria and Turkey and Russia and China. I know you think that the U.S. is so bad and it's all the U.S.'s fault and these other countries are perfect, and without the United States it would be rainbows and bubblegum and sunshine. I've listened to it all. I know that that's what left-leaning progressives say. They say, oh, if America stopped doing this, it would be bubblegum and rainbows all over the place, which, yes, the America's messed up. Yes, America caused the destabilization in many ways, but no, it's 100% false and completely untrue that it would be a perfect bubblegum situation if the United States wasn't there. That's a total lie, and I don't care how many times you say it, it's not true. So no matter what you think, it's going to take Trump a long time to get peace, because there's religious undertones, there's political undertones, there's money undertones, and there's stuff going on with Iran, Russia, China, and many parts of the Middle East that you can't even fathom, because it doesn't fall into the narrative of I don't like white people. I don't like America. Everybody else is the innocent victim, and everybody else needs to be saved by me, the supreme liberal. It's just not true. And that's why I've strayed away from the left, is because even the most honest people on the left who I watch and I support and am a fan of, I find them intellectually dishonest when it comes to self-awareness and self-responsibility, and the pandering and the victim mentality taking priority over like common sense and logic and basic math and science. Like, I'm not really for that. So overall, I just want to say Alex Jones is being further banned according to reports from Twitter now for a week. That was the one social media that allowed him to stay. And I'm going to start promoting other social medias more. And I'm not saying don't leave Facebook, don't leave Twitter, don't leave YouTube. To be honest, YouTube's been kind to me recently. Facebook's been incredibly kind to me. Twitter's been kind to me. And you wouldn't know about me. We wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Facebook. So I wouldn't say abandon ship, but you could start putting some eggs in other baskets. Start exploring other social medias. One that I use is Comvo, C-O-M-V-O. They've been very, very kind to me. The ownership, they've supported me tremendously. I'm starting to use that more. A lot of people are. So don't jump ship, but start to put your eggs in other baskets, because we still do need these to communicate. And also, they've been very, very kind to me, and they've been very, very kind to you. Let's be honest. We can't be hateful about everything. We got to be a little grateful. But overall, Alex Jones being, censored tremendously in so many different ways. And like I said, I don't know if what he said is inciting violence. I don't know if what he said isn't inciting violence. I don't think that he should say certain things that he says, to be honest. But I just want to see a little bit of, I want to see a little bit of equality, in the sense of, if he's not allowed to do that, then why are there so many liberals that are equally as hateful and inciting equally as much of negativity? And also, neocons and neoliberals, as people want to call them, why are they allowed to, start wars that displace millions of people and ruin hundreds of millions of lives across Europe and the United States? How come that's allowed? I just want to see a little consistency. That's all I'm asking for. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys joining. God bless you. Subscribe to me on YouTube. They're actually, for the first time ever, I'm actually starting to gain a lot of momentum on YouTube. In certain cases, which is pretty crazy, even more views than certain of my Facebook videos. So that's incredibly amazing. I'm really, really grateful for that. Thank you, YouTube. I can't hate. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Jack from Twitter. I haven't really experienced a lot of censorship. And I want to end on this note real quick is, yes, you hear what I say about the censorship. I stand up for people. I tell you what I think. But I also do want to say I believe in self-accountability. And I want to say to conservative, right-wing people, left-wing people, whoever's here and listening, you don't have to be so hateful and aggressive in your approach. And I think that's a bad strategy for anybody. Joe Rogan is very successful. I'm successful by some account, because we're so chill. And I think that everybody doesn't want to be aggressively attacked, and certainly doesn't want to be yelled at. And a lot of these social media networks like Twitter and Facebook, they're trying to be somewhat kid-friendly and somewhat, equality-friendly. So to be honest, I understand that. If I own Facebook or I own Twitter, not to be mean, but there's some people I probably wouldn't want on my network either. I'm not trying to ban free speech, but it's like your tribe is the network, and it's like there's certain people I just wouldn't want there. So I agree with Facebook on Twitter, not how they're treating Alex Jones completely, or how they're disproportionately censoring and shadow banning conservatives. I don't agree with that, but I think people do need to understand self-accountability is very important. So you don't have to curse, you don't have to scream, you don't have to hyperventilate and yell all the time in the comment section. You don't have to threaten people or be misconstrued by threatening people by being so aggressive. That's just my message of the day, just to balance it out and be fair. I think you'll get a lot further if you don't do that. And these private companies do have every right to not want you there, especially if they think you're being hateful and aggressive. And some people are. I think that they disproportionately censor the right wing and don't censor the left wing at all. I think that that's true. But I also do look at a lot of people, to be honest, and be like, what are they doing? Just like I hold people accountable, there's certain things that I believe in, but then I find that certain people exaggerate and reach and discredit all the real people that are investigating that stuff, because they're doing too much. They're saying too much. They're reaching. They're being negative. They're being outlandish. And I think that's bad for everybody. I believe in free press, and I believe in the truth. So why would I stand up for people that are maybe agree with certain things that I say, but make the same exact mistakes that I don't like in CNN and MSNBC or the mainstream media? So I just want to end on that note is, we have to be accountable as well. So you don't have to be so hateful. You don't have to be so negative. Try to be nice. Try not to curse so much on like Facebook, because Facebook is going for a more family-friendly appeal. That's just what they're trying to do. Twitter's a little more loose. Instagram, you can't post certain things. I'm just being honest. If you really want to fight censorship, you do so not just by going gung-ho, which some people are allowed to do. Some people have to do that. And I think it's great to have people like that push the boundaries, because then, it makes us realize where we stand. That's why I'm not trying to change anyone as far as like who they are and what they do. I support everyone. But just to be fair, if you really want to fight censorship, I think it's a good idea also to not see everyone as the enemy. That's why I also, like I said, I don't disagree with what Trump said as far as the ideology, but I just want to say, I personally, my personal perspective, I don't look at anybody as my enemy. That's just my personal philosophy. I don't have a single enemy. Even the worst person who hates me, I don't feel that they're my enemy. I don't know. I don't like that mindset of like walking around and thinking you have a bunch of enemies. I think that's a horrible way to live. Even someone who disagrees with me ideologically and might say something terrible about me, I'd much rather have a conversation with them and find a similarity. Be like, hey, you don't like Trump? That's fine. Let's go play basketball. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you don't agree with what I think about the Middle East? Who cares? Let's have a conversation and let's try to figure out why we disagree. Let's try to see if you can teach me something. Maybe I could teach you something. So I don't like the mindset personally. Trump is allowed to be Trump. I say let Alex Jones be Alex Jones. But my personal philosophy, if anyone cares, is I don't have an enemy, and I don't try to look at liberals and progressives like they're my number one enemy. I try to look at them like they're my friends, or my brothers and sisters of this country who maybe have a different ideology than I have. Maybe they want to be spoken to in a different way. Maybe they don't respond well to how Alex Jones and Trump talk. And to be honest, that's the number one criticism that I hear, and I think it's totally accurate. They say, Anomaly, don't you think that Trump should speak in a different way? Or don't you think that Alex Jones should speak in a different way? And I'm like, probably, yeah. If they want you to listen to them, they probably should. You're right, 100% right. I just think actions matter more than words. But Trump is Trump, and Trump wouldn't be there if he wasn't Trump. So that's why I let Trump be Trump. And Alex Jones is Alex Jones. Alex Jones would not be there if Alex Jones wasn't Alex Jones. So, I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone. So, but I do think on a certain level, if we really do want to bring the whole country together at a certain point, we have to talk to each other like human beings. We have to have a conversation politely, respectfully, and somewhat consider somebody else's perspective rather than just being so one-track minded. That's what turns me off on the left. That's what turned me off to the Democratic Party. That's what turned me off to the mainstream media. But the right wing can easily make the same mistakes. We're all human. And I think that type of mindset sometimes, when it's too much excessively, not only will get you censored more on social media, but it will also scare people away from ever seeing eye to eye with you or ever seeing why you might feel a certain way or why you like low taxes instead of high taxes. So that's just the last word of the day. I appreciate you guys for listening. God bless you. God bless America. God bless your family. And God bless the world. For everybody, I appreciate you being here. As always, sign up to my free email list. I'm going to put it in the description after, or if you go to the top of my Facebook page, pinned to the top of my Facebook page is my YouTube channel, is my free email list, is donor box, is Patreon, and probably something else, maybe my website. So I appreciate you so much, especially donor box and Patreon. You're the reason I'm allowed to be here, and clearly, as far as like the internet censorship and stuff, I think it's reached such an insane amount. It's not hard to see why that's so important here. When I'm done with this, I'm probably going to go to InfoWars store and buy some fish oil or, some stuff to support the InfoWars store since they're being censored. That's just me personally, InfoWars store. This is not an ad. Clearly, they've never even interviewed me, but, they have good products and stuff, so I'm going to go support them. And on that note, I appreciate people who support me in my time of need, in my time of, I'll remember that forever. If I do get to a point where I have so much excess money, I'm not going to forget that, and I'm going to figure out a way to bring it all back to the people and reward those people who helped me when I didn't have a lot. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Have an amazing week. I'll be back later.